Greetings, Saberites. Nonymous here with VorNach joining me.
Good afternoon, all.
And as you see, we are all geared up here today. VorNach is back from the outer rim, as it were, and we have decided to get back into it with a little sparring.
A joyous time on Gleanselm, but for some reason I missed the cold and the snow.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe I hit my head on a rock under the water or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
But here I am.
Yes. So we're all geared up. Thought we'd come to you and give you a little overview on what we use and how we do it. We're completely geared up today, full on head to toe kind of thing. We'll kind of go through it here and give you a little link up on how you can kind of put your own kit together and what safety. Now, of course, the most important piece of gear that we have.
Protect your head.
Yes.
Your brain, your eyes, everything up
yes.
here.
Eyes, teeth, nose, facial features, everything. This is all very fragile, but so is this. And inside too, right? We don't want to crack open your skull. We don't want to get too many concussions or anything like that. So invest in a fencing helmet. You can get fencing helmets on Amazon for as little as $60. At $60 a pop, there's really no excuse because I know you've spent more on your saber. All right. Second of all, if you can, and I totally recommend this, get a mask or get some back of the head protection. All right. Fencing masks are usually just one-sided, so they won't have anything in the back. Get something like a HEMA hood, something to protect the back of your head. Okay. Our blades tend to flex. If you hit on the side well enough, you can still get them right on the side or right on the back of the head. If somebody turns when you don't expect them to do it, you could still smack them right in the back of the head, and that would be a very, very bad thing. So, back of the head protection, very, very important.
Another option. This is a padded hood which is attached to the helmet, and then it has a separate back of the head back plate.
Yes, so you can get just the black back plates by themselves to put on your regular.
All over the head is recommended. It helps to cushion some of the harder shots, preserve the rest of the mask, and it also provides a little extra protection. The first layer on top of all the other layers to help protect that this very vulnerable neck area.
Yes. Now my mask and hood have some neck protection in it. There's a hard plate right in here. So I don't usually have to use extra neck protection.
I'm a big fan of the Gorget. This one is I handmade myself. It's I don't know what weight, but it's extra heavy duty, very stiff leather with soft padding underneath. When it's fully tightened in, it completely covers my neck and includes a little protection over the top of the spine.
Yep. I tend to use, when I use them, these Gorgets. They are softer. They're not metal or anything like that. But with lightsaber, metal tends to be a little overkill. I know that in some competitions they require metal because they still allow thrusts to the chest that will slide up and all that kind of stuff. But even if it's metal, it's still going to kind of slip under there. So I don't really have a preference on that. I think that leather or plastic is perfectly adequate for what we do. This has a couple of little shoulder pads in there. Just like that. Now, like I said, my mask tends to has some neck protection on it. So when I have all of this stuff on, this tends to be a little bit overkill. I tend to get kind of squished in there, and so I don't wear this if I'm wearing all of this stuff here. Which we'll get to here. So this stuff right here we are using. I'm using lacrosse armor. He's using hockey armor. Shoulder plates.
Yeah, the shoulders are not as big of an issue for lightsabers.
Right.
But as you start sliding down towards the collarbone, that's certainly an area where we can be vulnerable, even with a nice flexible saber.
Yes. So anything over the joints. The joints are really the problem. You can get smacked here on the big parts, and it'll hurt and leave a welt. But it's not that great a deal. But you can really damage your joints with these things still. So putting stuff over your joints, the shoulder pads here, chest protection. I have this goalie protection because, and if I lift it up a little bit here, you can see lacrosse armor usually doesn't come down over the midriff. You usually have to get a goalie thing for that, which is what this is. Okay, so you can get that. You can also get goalie pads that will include the shoulder pads and the whole torso there. You can also get rib protectors and this kind of stuff piecemeal, or you can get it in one jacket, all that. The great thing about both of these things is that they're bought used for almost no money at all. I think this was $15. I think this might have been $20, and I don't even know what that was. But
inconsequential. Again, compared to the sabers most of you have bought.
Yes, compared to the sabers, and also compared to an emergency room bill, right? Even for like a really minor thing, right? Like if you chip a tooth or you break a tooth and you have to go get it fixed. If you don't have good dental insurance, woohoo, boy, that's going to be really, really expensive. All right, so moving on, we'll move on down to the lower regions here. So thigh and groin armor, very, very important. Wear your cup. You've also got these things. This is a hockey.
This is a hockey goalie cup.
Goalie cup. This is just a HEMA skirt, which will protect you a little bit. You still got to wear more protection underneath, but
I don't have the same layer of protection on my thighs. Again, it's not as vulnerable an area, but the hockey cup here covers the entire groin area, the lower abdomen. When it was new, it had a little bit of back protection up around the kidneys as well.
yes, and that's the other thing too. Any of these things, like the HEMA stuff, it's going to come up over the hip, and the hips are your vulnerable bits right there. That's a really, really important thing to keep in mind. Hits to, like I said, to the meaty parts of your body will leave a welt. It'll be painful, but with a saber blade, they're generally very inconsequential. It's when you start getting into your fingers, into your more fragile bones, joints, teeth, that kind of thing, you get it gets a little scary.
To those big surface areas, you can cover with some kind of wear heavy sweats or sweatshirts, some kind of cloth padding to help minimize that.
Yep, I've got this.
Superficial effects.
Yes, or if you have a gambeson, those will work fine. Matt has his knee pads on. I do not, because I misplaced mine. But I do have some high boots on, so that will help protect the shin. Some hard plastic shin protectors from hockey, soccer, pretty much anything you want. Umpire things are popular.
Baseball catchers,
yes.
and shin guards.
Catchers and shin guards, yes, exactly, that's what I meant. Not umpire. But yeah, that type of thing. Also motocross. Some motocross armor has good lower leg stuff like that. So, and again, you can get a nice big thick boot, right, that goes up to your knee or goes up to something like that. And even if you put a plate inside of it, or sometimes just by the boot itself, if it's got thick enough, good enough leather, provides some good protection.
Footwear is one of those things that can be a little pricier. So
yes.
This was, I think, $10 for the pair at a used sports shop.
Yeah.
Again, most of this stuff is pretty economical.
Absolutely.
And the payoff in the long run is well worth the upfront investment.
Indeed. Moving on to the arms. So now we've got the arms here. A lot of it's taken up by, of course, these guys, the shoulder pads. But I'm wearing some forearm pads here because the forearms are obviously very vulnerable and get hit a lot because they're just a great target. So having some extra forearm protection is really, really nice. It's really the elbow that you want to be worried about because you can get really, really painful and almost debilitating injury by hitting the elbow just right or just wrong, depending on your perspective.
This elbow protection is it's a little on the light side. It's not what I normally wear. The transgalactic shipping from Leanne Solomon still has some of my things somewhere in hyperspace.
Yes.
But these will do the job. And again, economic, used sports gear provides some protection into the upper arm and down into the forearm. My forearms are not covered here, but talk about that a little bit when we get to the
Yeah.
gloves.
Yep. And there are the lacrosse arm guards, which I'll kind of put in, so we don't have any right here to grab, but we'll put some in here so you can see them. Those are very, very good. All lacrosse armor, hockey armor is really, really well suited because it's all there to protect the very spots that we're trying to protect from long, thin objects like sticks or a saber. So they're really, really ideal. You don't have to break the bank. You can put a kit together for about probably under $100 if you play your cards right, and then throw that helmet on the top of it, $150 and you're good to go. Now, the big deal, the big tough part about any of this is hand protection. There's a lot of choices for hand protection. And when you're doing any sword play, any type of weapon work, hand protection is something that people have constantly been thinking about and trying to come up with new ways to do it. There are levels to this hand protection, which we'll go through here. So I'll just kind of grab a couple here. These are the first kind. Now these are like, what would you say, SCA rapier gloves, which don't provide much protection from impact, right? They've got a little bit of a hard plate here, but this hard plate will not protect your knuckles from pretty much anything, I guarantee you, because it's just free floating there.
It's okay for incidental, accidental strikes.
Right.
When the goal of whatever you're playing isn't to deliver an edge strike.
Correct. Right. So targeting the hands would not be allowed wearing these gloves. Sure, they lessen it a little bit. So doing two-person work, these gloves could be very, very helpful. And they're light and they look real neat, so they're kind of costumey. But there's that. Now the most common type, and probably the most economical for most people, are the lacrosse gloves. Now lacrosse gloves, again, are fairly good, and we have been using them for this 7 years with very little incident. Yes. The drawback to these is, what is the drawback with all gloves, right? You're going to be trading protection for mobility. The more protection you have over something, the less mobile it's probably going to tend to be. But these do protect very well. They have some gaps here in the side. They're obviously not meant for directed strikes, but they work that way. They're very, very available. You can get them at used sporting goods stores. You can get them on the internet. You can get them anywhere you want. They will protect your hand very, very well. Your fingertips are still going to be vulnerable. We'll get into that here in a moment.
One other element is they also provide a reasonable amount of wrist protection.
Yes.
So if you're this is one of those joint areas where it's hard to get the right kind of overlap from forearm into wrist, and this is one of the things that can help bridge the gap. Not perfect for what I'm wearing today, but again, more of this time.
Right. Okay, so next up, we are getting into HEMA gloves, or gloves that are really meant for sparring and sword work. These are the Red Dragon gloves. They're essentially a beefier lacrosse glove. Right? They have now hard plastic plates in there. They've tried to cover up some of the side, so you get a little more side. The thumb is a little bit more protected. But again, this is going to have almost the same drawbacks as the lacrosse glove as far as gaps in protection. And they are also a little bit more expensive. I think they run around $80 to $100 depending on where you get them. So again, there's a little bit more protection there. Is there $75 worth more protection in there? I don't know. I would look around at some used sporting goods stores from lacrosse gloves first, before necessarily going directly to the Red Dragon gloves here. Although, very good, and as you see, they've seen their day here, and they're still kicking. So there's that. So that's the next kind of level up.
One layer that we're missing are the mitten gauntlets or the hoof gauntlets.
Right. I would put those those are probably the most protective of gauntlets, which are, they don't have separate fingers, they just kind of come over the top. We call them clamshell or lobster gloves sometimes. Spez there will again post some pictures of that here. We don't have any currently. The thing about those I found is that some people can use them, some people cannot, based on kind of like the shape and geometry of your hand. I can't get them to work for me very well, but that's just me. I know other people who swear by them. They are definitely going to give you the most protection, bar none.
They're very, very effective. They're used in steel sparring.
Yeah.
They're the standard for it.
Exactly.
Both of our experience has been working with them is that it affects the grip. It feels clumsy. It feels like there's a lack of flexibility. And fortunately, there are other options that are in that same category.
Right.
We each have a sample. This is a set of 5-finger gloves. This particular manufacturer is Nonymous. They're a European-based heat supply company.
And actually, I believe Nonymous does a bunch of lightsaber-oriented gear too. So I believe they do. They have like a Boba Fett, gambeson, and all kinds of stuff. So
this is a lighter glove stitched into the protective glove. So you have all 5 fingers. All the fingers are capped on the outside and on the inside with an extra layer of protection. The thumb especially. This is probably one of the best pieces of thumb protection I've seen in all the protective gear we've worked with. It's got some flexibility in the palm, the back of the hand, and as you can see, it comes fairly far up onto the forearm, which works fairly well with what I'm wearing today. And when you seal it all the way up, there is overlap across the inside of the wrist. So you're fairly well covered all the way around while still providing a reasonable degree of flexibility.
Yep. So those are the Nonymous 5-finger gloves. Now, the other 5-finger gloves here, as I did a review on them just recently, are the Koning gloves here that are designed for longsword. I love these gloves. They are very, very comfortable. They protect against lightsaber perfectly. Like I said, both of these may be overkill for lightsaber as far as protection goes, but I don't think there can be overkill as far as your hands go. I feel the strikes on my hands, but they don't hurt. So there's that. And they've got very, very good mobility. As you see, they've got a good cuff that works with the armor very well, and they allow me a good grip on my weapon and everything like that. But again, these are pricey. These are about $300.
I honestly don't remember what I paid for these off the top of my head, but they're in the hundreds price range.
Yes. So as you go up with the gloves, you're going to be getting more and more expensive. Just keep that in mind, as with anything. But again, how important are your hands to you?
Some people, doctors,
right,
mechanics, and anybody,
yes,
musicians, anybody who works with their hands. If this is one of your hobbies, can you pay too much to protect your hands?
Yes, exactly. Same with your head. So hands and head, just throw the money at it. Right. This stuff you can get away with cheap stuff for the stuff on the body. Just remember, lacrosse gloves or lacrosse gear, hockey gear, baseball gear, any athletic gear, even skateboard knee pads and elbow pads and stuff like that. Very, very good. One thing we should mention, we only showed you one version of head protection. And that's because that's the only version of head protection we think is adequate. There is no other thing other than a fencing mask, and a fencing mask with back of the head protection, right? Helmet. Other than actual steel armor, which would just destroy your opponent's sabers, and they would hate you and never want to fight with you. Other than that, fencing helmets is the way to go. Airsoft masks. We'll link to a video that we did where we can destroy it. They will destroy your face. They will not protect you at all. Hockey helmets and masks. don't have enough up in the face. The sabers can get through there, and you can get eyes, and then that thing is stuck in your helmet with you. Very, very bad scene.
Cross mask is very similar. The gauge on the open wire work is too big.
Yep.
Tip of the saber can get in, and then what's the point of having it?
Exactly. Get a fencing helmet, and get some back of the head protection. It is the most important piece of gear, and because your head is your most important piece of your body, right? So there you go. Anyway, well, so there's a little overview on gear. I know everybody's getting more into the fighting, and we're all with that. We've been preaching this since the beginning, and it's good to see that we're finally starting to get somewhere with it. So yes, go out there, get some gear. We'll put some links in the description for places that you can purchase it. And other than that, we will see you next time. Have a great day. Happy sabering.
Be safe.